Okay, tell me when we're live. Live? There now? Good. Right, morning everybody. It's been confirmed that we are live, so we're now being live streamed this morning. Apologies, I don't think we've got any. We look as though we're all here. Minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of December. Can we agree those as a true record? Agreed. Didn't hear any dissent, so I'm going to say that was agreed for the benefit of anyone listening online. The declaration of interest. Anybody got any declarations of interest? No? Okay. Public participation. Chris, I don't think we've got any today, have we?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just to confirm, there is no public participation requests.
And I think the same applies to councillor questions.
Indeed, yes, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Right, we're going to look at the Shareholder Committee's forward plan. Anybody got any comments? I mean, normal situation here is that we receive the forward plan. It is a piece, an idea of what the work programme looks like. But otherwise, anybody got any comments, or can we receive the forward plan? I'll take silence as an agreement. Thank you very much. So we go on to agenda item 7 now, which is the report of the independent chair of the Board of Directors. Ian, good morning.
So I think the report speaks for itself. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding governance, and Andy's here for any questions regarding either the site development or the school itself.
Ian. Right, colleagues, comments? Andrew.
Thank you. I know the last meeting of the board, it was brought to our attention the desire to strengthen particularly the finance arm of the board of directors, and I know those appointments have been made, and it does in the reports that we see state that the finance committee has been sort of resurrected and everything. Could you just give us some sort of sense of how frequently they'll be meeting, and what sort of positive outcomes you'd expect to see from their work?
We've considered again the terms of reference for that finance subcommittee. It's got quite a lot of work to do, so it's meeting as frequent as it needs to. Andy, the last time it met was when?
January, I think, and we're due another one imminently. Yeah.
So it's meeting about every 6 weeks at the moment. We have a chair for that committee who's a qualified accountant and also an educationalist, and the other members of that committee have got finance experience. And they're charged really with looking at the current budget, the business plan, ongoing financial projections and other matters like that at the moment. So quite detailed work that they need to do to report back to the board.
Thank you. The other point, of course, is the day-to-day sort of financial reporting regulation side of the business. Are you confident now that if you were to ask for a particular financial report, that is a click of a button, or is it still quite an extensive process to get the financial information you might require from an operational perspective?
And I'd like to feel confident it was a click of a button. I think it may be more than one click, but it's much better than it was, and we have a finance manager who's doing an excellent job at the moment. We have management accounts, which is always helpful for a board now, and those management accounts are becoming up to date so that we can ask for them 2 weeks into the month end, so that we've got an account really ready after that. As you know, we filed the accounts for the previous financial year in time in December, so they were filed. They've been posted to Companies House. We filed those because it was really the start-up of the company. It didn't require an audit under the small company regime, but we will require an audit at year end this time in March. And so we're mindful of making sure that we've got all the systems up to date so that when auditors come in, we can start looking at those accounts quite early in the new financial year. But yes, it's a much better position.
Peter.
Thank you very much for the report. I have two questions, both intended to be helpful, by the way. So 3.2, you've talked about since the appointment of the new head teacher, the managing director has transitioned into his substantive strategic leadership role for the company. Good to hear. Can you tell me what we might see as an output as a result of his now substantive leadership role? And let me ask the second question, which is completely unrelated to the first. You are apparently doing a survey, including staff and pupils. It was conducted in February. Are there any early results you can give us from that survey? Because I think that would be a really useful measure of things, and rather than wait till our next meeting, if there is some early findings, I think it would be useful to share them, even though they're not on the agenda, because I think, you know, if there's something really important, we'd like to know. And actually, oddly enough, if there isn't anything important, I'd like to know, because I think that actually tells you a story. So sorry to give two completely different questions. Thank you.
Take the one on the strategic leadership. That gives Andy to know whether he's got the results from the survey, because the board hasn't had those yet. So Andy will know if there's anything from there. If you think of the fact that up until Andy started, until Darren started as a head teacher, we had one person running both the school and the whole site and the strategic matter about the business planning and moving the whole organisation forward. And that person had to keep their eye on the school, quite rightly, which meant that the whole strategic development of the whole project, the whole site, was something that was suffering because of that. What has happened here now with a head teacher for the school and with Andy as the MD is that Andy can focus on the more strategic aspects of making sure we sort out the business plan, the wider site development, the leisure facilities on the site, the children's homes, all the other aspects that was part of the vision for the Dorset Centre of Excellence, which before we had to really put to one side whilst we were focusing on the school. So now we've got one on the school, one on the whole site development, which helps that process. And it's making a much better impact for us, actually. And in terms of the survey?
Yeah, so I'm happy to give preliminary feedback. We haven't fully collated all of the responses. In fact, not all of the responses are in yet, but we are hoping to collate that in time for the next board meeting, which in due course will be communicated to the council. Initial feedback from that survey is that our parents and carers seem to be more engaged and broadly satisfied with the service they're receiving from the school and the communication they're receiving, which is good. There are still some feelings hanging over from the past, but it's definitely an improving picture, which I think is encouraging and reflective of the work that's been going on at the school. And I think amongst the staff, we've got not just the survey results, but other sets of data around staff sickness, absence from work, general engagement scores, and so on, along with the survey, which is showing again an improving picture, which is good. But what we are increasingly learning from a variety of our quality assurance processes is that, and it seems obvious, but it's being backed up by data, is that our ability to retain, recruit, keep, and train the very best staff that we can is going to be absolutely pivotal to the success of the whole project. So that's probably one of the main themes I'm getting from the staff survey, triangulated with other data we've got.
Anybody else? Comment? Yes, Andrew.
Return to another area of previous consideration, of course, was the engagement with the local community. And in the report 5.5 highlights a recent partnership struck up with the Rotary Club, that well-known and respected organisation, to have a family bike ride and a charity event on site in May 2023. Has there been any expressions of interest for other events, and are we getting any closer to seeing regular attendance by sports clubs, for example, using the site?
Yeah, so we're very pleased about that partnership we're working on with the Rotary Club. There's actually a meeting today about planning some of the logistics of that, and we're hoping that will be a really positive community-based experience. regarding the other community outreach elements, we've actually set up, as a subset of the board, a commercial and community committee, which is really looking at this in much more detail. So in those sessions, we're able to do a far more effective deep dive into the community elements of the centre than we are in main board meetings, which is positive. And we are getting much closer to a robust and long-term strategy around certainly use of leisure. And we've had several very positive meetings recently, and we're just thinking about which route is going to be most effective for us to maximise the community use. And what we've done is we've drafted some a service level agreement that we want to use with any of the organisations we partner with to make sure that they understand that their partnership with us is dependent on them adhering to the main objectives of the Dorset Centre of Excellence and certainly helping vulnerable children, local families, and helping people who need our support.
Anybody else? Well, would I just chip in with the point that Andrew's touched on? You know, I've been to the site a few times, so I've got a rough idea of how it looks. And you've got a very nice swimming pool, a nice sports hall. I guess the utilisation of both of those isn't where we want it to be at the moment. And although you've touched on it already about getting, you know, community groups interested in using the facilities, it'd be quite useful at some point to get a bit of a profile on how we're going to get I guess we'll never get 100% maximisation of those facilities, but there's a convenience element of them being there. But it'd be quite useful to get an understanding about, from a business perspective, what the financial profiles look around the utilisation of those facilities, not only with the school, but also with outside bodies. It'd be quite useful to perhaps in a future opportunity, there's a bit more fleshed out around that, so we can get it, the committee can get a bit of comfort in understanding and what that looks like.
Yeah, sure. And I think come the next shareholder committee, if not before, we'll certainly be able to provide that. We are working on a number of processes at the moment about forward planning and business planning and looking at commercially viable options for the site. And we are quite a way through a piece of work, particularly around leisure. And I think there'll be some reassurance next time when we're able to put some meat on the bones for you.
Happy with that response. Right, colleagues. Peter, you can come back.
Sorry, one final point, which is unrelated to you, but is related to events at Dorset Council. If you do contact local organisations, can I ensure and ask that you contact the local members, including not just the members in the immediate vicinity, but the members in the adjoining wards? And my reason for asking this is absolutely nothing to do with you, but there have been instances where this hasn't happened and local members have been unaware. So if you could do that, I'd be very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Something I just also want to touch on is the importance of positive relationships with inspecting bodies such as Ofsted and Dorset Council's commitment that Dorset children should attend good and outstanding provision. I know you have an action plan in place and you are working your way through that. And we also know that there is a finite amount of time to deliver because we do expect Ofsted to return before May. How confident are you that you will be Ofsted ready when that call comes?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously putting a huge amount of our resource and time and effort and focus into just that. One of the interesting elements to bring to your attention is that when the regulator does attend, they will be making a judgment against the independent school standards, which is obviously a slightly different assessment criteria than they would with a maintained school or an academy to some extent. What they have to do is make a judgment about whether those independent school standards have been consistently met. And given that there is a range of evidence that in the earlier part of the school's existence, those standards weren't met at all times, it will be an interesting judgment they make. So I'm feeling confident that they will come and find a far improved school and that the independent school standards will be met. What they will need to do is make a judgment about whether they've been consistently met, which they may choose to interpret as since the school has opened. So it's a matter for them really how they make that judgment, but I'm confident that they will come and find better systems, more evidence and a more settled school.
Right, I think we've given this a reasonable airing. Was for us to consider the report. I think we've considered it. So thank you very much to the authors and participants in pulling that together. Useful update, and we'll look forward to seeing what happens with the next one. Right, we move on to agenda item 8, Dorset Council Commissioning Report. Am I looking at you, Claire?
Yeah. Good morning. I'm Claire Shields. I'm the Corporate Director for Commissioning and Partnerships and the Lead Commissioner for places at the school and working alongside the company. So the report you have in front of you gives an overview of the current position and a reminder really that following some of the challenges we experienced at the start of the entering into the contract with the company, we agreed that it would be right to go into a period of enhanced cooperation as we moved into this period of recovery. So some of the way that we're working with the company means that we are alongside the company to help and support the development. I think one of the outputs that is really helpful from having a managing director in there, Councillor Worf, also is that the amount of officer time from Dorset Council is reducing as the company is able to pick up and deliver for themselves. So it's really helpful from that perspective as well. In terms of where we are seeing a much improved situation alongside our period of cooperation. Since the end of the last academic year, and the capacity and the support that the company has in place now is much improved from when we last discussed this. So we're seeing things move forward. Our regular contract review meetings have been taking place and we have been focused on monitoring the progress of the recovery plan, and we can see some clear steps forward, most notably in leadership, in embedding safeguarding practice, which has been also reviewed by quality assurance of that safeguarding report and where we are, and in strengthening the board. As Councillor Parry mentioned, seeing those new members arrive has really helped move that through. Other areas of support that we're offering, just picking up Councillor Parry's point about financial support, is the Council is offering some additional financial capacity and support to help with the modelling into the future through an independent consultant, which is helping the company have the capacity that they need, but is also providing some comfort to commissioners about the quality of that work and what that's telling us as well. So that's really helpful for us and where we are. So in terms of working together, I think we're still right to be in a period of enhanced cooperation between the Council and the company. Our main areas of focus now will be on growth. So it'll be on the future development of the site. It will be on the safe increasing of pupil numbers and thinking through the financial stability and commercial options that we take forward to the shareholders. So that's where I'll be spending most of my time as Commissioner, and that's where our Commissioners will be. We've got a little bit of work to do around key performance indicators. We're not quite where we need to be in providing total assurance that we've got everything that we need, but there's a strong plan from the company to put that in place. So happy to really take any questions, but that's where we are in terms of our enhanced cooperation.
Claire? Yeah. Andrew?
Thank you. In terms of school growth, and in one of the capacities that an independent school has is the ability to have in-year access. Do you anticipate any additional places being allocated in this academic year, or are we talking September onwards?
Yeah, we're absolutely expecting some pupil growth after the Easter holidays. So we're just looking at the moment on what that looks like. So there's a consultation process going on for the number of pupils, and we'll enter into a block contract with the school for an increased number in the summer term. We just haven't quite agreed those exact numbers yet, and we're looking at the pupils now that would be appropriate for. But we are absolutely expecting to see growth this side, yeah. Thank
you, and as a supplementary to you, obviously a commitment around inclusivity in our schools, and that's very much wanted to be highlighted here at Coombe House. In respect of exclusions and any form of suspensions, how's the school faring in comparison to other settings? Doing well in terms of supporting our children and young people to
remain at the school. It's a really important part of the work that we do to remain inclusive, work that through. There's strong relationships operationally to have conversations about children who may need some different types of support or different ways of supporting between the school and us. And just coming back really in I used the word consultation, I think, in my previous answer. What we mean there is that we have a conversation between the school and between our operational staff to understand if the school can meet needs. And that's a really important part of making sure that we can do that well and ensure the children can remain there and be included in the school community. So it's an important piece of our work as we work together.
Gary.
Well, thank you, Claire. I'll come to finance too. Clearly, the 2.1, the modelling continues to be refined, but it's slower than the original business case. And in fact, the original business case has sort of stopped working effectively because we're well out of step with that now. But we're currently doing a revision of capital, so it would have been more helpful to have indications. I don't know if you're passing those on to Aidan and finance at the moment, but at the moment it seems to be saying that it won't be finished until June. I was just hoping we might be able to speed that process up a bit because capital decisions are influenced by the ability of the school to perform, and we're a little bit out of step here, and it's quite a long time ago that the original business plan came and clearly needed revision. So I feel obviously, the two primary functions of this school is to provide the best education we can for the pupils, but secondly, it also has to reduce costs. And I feel that we're just a little bit out of step here because we're providing huge sums or being asked to provide further capital input, yet we still don't have the business plan to support it. So I think we need to get in step a little bit there. That might not be wholly everybody very happy with that, but that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Claire?
Yeah, and for assurance, really, it is a slowing down and a stretching of the business plan. So the business plan is not fundamentally requiring a revision or a remove. It is about the timing of that and moving that forward. And as we bring that capital requirement into our overall council capital strategy moving forward. So absolutely, we know some of those numbers and we've been sharing those. We know what that looks like alongside the growth plans that are moving forward. So it shouldn't slow any of that down. But I'll make sure that we share that with officers so that they've got that level of detail that's required. But it's a stretching of rather than a big revision of, if that makes sense.
It is in fact all about the stretch because the deal we have with the DfE and the High Leeds block, this is all based on the performance of this particular establishment. So the stretch is all important. Thank you.
Yeah, I think your point's well made, actually, Gary. Anybody else? Laura?
Yeah, thank you. Really, really positive to learn at 1.5 about the improvement in safeguarding and standards. So I just wanted to draw that out. And a very quick question, which is probably quite basic. That was the most recent monitoring visit was in January 2023. How often does that happen?
Yeah, I'm happy to give a response if that's helpful. So there's been an intensive period of support to make sure that the school efficiently and quickly moves towards a point of effectively full compliance. After that, I think we've agreed half-termly, so sort of 6 times a year. Yeah.
Andrew?
Thank you. If I can phrase it in this way, there has been some media comment and speculation on social media that the priority for Dorset Council should not include meeting SEND requirements in East and North Dorset. Are you able to confirm that actually we do have a need to increase capacity in North and East Dorset and that Coombe House School is an important part of that strategy?
Absolutely, I can confirm. The number of these school places and the management of the high needs block strategy has got Coombe High School as well as a range of other projects. And we need all of those to be able to meet the capacity needs that we have, particularly for East Dorset and particularly in North Dorset, where it is more difficult to access those school places and people are travelling further to get the education that they need.
Good point, actually. Anybody else? No? Okay, well, let off lightly today, Claire. Well done. Thank you very much. Right, that's actually, we've got no urgent items and no exempt business. So at 10:55, I'll bring the meeting to a close. Thank you very much.